They had me pinned face down on the lawn before I could even mutter my son's name. A fake badge glinted in the corner of my eye, and the cold bite of zip ties cinched my wrists. I heard a neighbor gasp, the sound sharp against the suburban quiet, as those plastic cuffs tightened. My first thought wasn't about might, was about my boy, somewhere nearby, watching his dad get manhandled by guys in knockoff uniforms. All this because some self-proclaimed HOA queen, our neighborhood's own dictator, decided I'd crossed her in VY Cybele line. That's when I knew this wasn't just petty neighbor nonsense. Something darker was brewing. Let me back up. My name's Tom Hayes, and this whole mess started with my 1969 Camaro, a car I'd spent 2 years bringing back to life. That machine was my escape, a V8, powered rebellion against the grind of endless workdays and cookie-cutter sedans. I'd spent countless nights in the garage, grease in my hair, wrestling with bolts that fought back, all to build something that roared with freedom. When I finally fired it up on our street in Willow Creek, the engine's growl shook the air, and I caught the sour look from neighbors who preferred their lives as quiet as their manicured lawns. Willow Creek was picture-perfect trimmed hedges, matching mailboxes, and gossip that spread faster than wildfire. The HOA, led by a woman named Susan Miller, claimed to keep the peace, but all they really enforced was conformity. I knew there were rules, but I figured a little engine noise in the daylight wouldn't hurt anyone. Then Carl stepped onto his driveway, clipboard in hand, khakis pressed, looking like he was ready to direct a 747. I waved, all smiles. He didn't wave back. His lips pursed like he'd bitten a lemon. The next morning, a note was taped to my door, citing some vague Section 4.2c about disturbing the peace. My wife, Emily, read it aloud, her eyebrows climbing. "You gonna talk to him?" she asked, half laughing. "Maybe," I said, "but I might bring a crowbar in case the chat gets dull." I tried being nice first, strolling over to Carl's place with a handshake ready. He met me halfway, clutching that clipboard like a lifeline. He rambled about noise violations, claiming my Camaro was scaring dogs and rattling windows. I asked for specifics. He just clenched his jaw and walked away. Then Susan showed up, sipping from a reusable tumbler like it held the law itself. Another neighbor, Paul, nodded along beside her, the three of them acting like a council of judges. They were dead set on taming my car and me. I told them the Camaro's rumble was my way of leave-VYing, not just noise. Carl muttered about escalating things. Emily peeked out, her face asking if I needed backup. Before I could answer, a sharp voice cut through. My grandma, Clara, all 5 feet of her in a floral robe, stormed onto the porch. She glared at Carl's clipboard like it was a personal insult, her cane raised like a sword. "You threatened my grandson?" she snapped. Carl stammered about compliance, but Clara's stare could have melted steel. Susan and Paul backed off, and Carl shoved a letter in my hand before bolting. It was dripping with legal jargon, demanding a mandatory inspection of my property. The word mandatory was underlined in thick ink. I called the number on the letterhead, got voicemail, and left a message that wasn't exactly polite. 2 days later, a knock rattled the door. 2 guys stood there in polo shirts with embroidered badges that looked like they came from a costume shop. "Here to inspect your vehicle," the taller one barked, skipping any hello. Got real authority for that. I shot back. Emily was already filming on her phone. Clara appeared, clutching a mug that read, "World's Toughest Nana," and demanded a warrant. They called it a courtesy VY sit. Clara gave them 10 seconds to leave or meet her cane. They left, but the shorter one hissed, "You've been warned." That night, I checked the garage camera. At 2:13 a.m., one of those guys was back, staring at my Camaro for 7 minutes straight. Not emo VYing, not blinking. Then he vanished. Morning came, and I found a wire under the hood, sliced clean. Across the street, Carl watered his lawn, smirking. I wanted to charge over and yell, but I held back. That night, Emily woke me at 3 a.m., whispering about someone outside. I grabbed a flashlight and crept to the lawn. A black SUV idled down the street, headlights off. When my beam hit its windshield, it peeled out silently. I called the county records office the next day. The clerk said Willow Creek's HOA wasn't registered legally. It didn't exist. Their fines, inspections, all of it was fake. "Be careful," she whispered. "Impersonating authority is serious." I hung up, equal parts relieved and uneasy. Across the street, Carl flipped through a magazine upside down, like he was daring me to notice. Another envelope arrived, stamped "Enforcement Pending," threatening something called field correction. Clara muttered about grabbing her shotgun, but even she admitted these creeps were unsettling. Things got weirder. Someone spray-painted non-compliant on our trash cans. Caution tape appeared on our driveway. My license plate vanished. Emily's taillight was smashed. Then I found a tracker taped under our mailbox. We added hidden cameras everywhere. One night, at 1:47 a.m., two figures crept across our yard. One fiddled with the mailbox, the other crouched by the garage, holding zip ties, big ones, the kind for detaining people. My chest tightened. "They're planning something big," I whispered. Clara, watching the monitor, offered to greet them with a hammer, but I told her to wait. We needed proof. At 3:03 p.m. the next day, a heavy knock at the door. There stood Susan, hair pulled back tight, beige blazer screaming fake professionalism. Two officers in tactical vests flanked her, cheap body cams pinned on. She flashed a laminated card about Stage 2 enforcement and demanded to audit my property. I told her if she touched my Camaro, she'd meet my wrench. Her goons stepped forward. Emily filmed. Clara lingered inside, grinning, her shotgun cradled like a trophy. Susan smirked, saying resistance would escalate things. Clara fired off a quip that made them flinch. Susan ordered a retreat, but not before warning I'd regret my insolence. Emily's doorbell cam caught Susan's routine. Morning walks, spying on yards, scribbling notes. I dug into Susan Marie Carter's past. She'd been a cop, fired for EVY Denke tampering and running unauthorized patrols, even trying to zip tie a teen for breaking her made-up curfew. This was her playbook: control through fear. She was turning Willow Creek into her fiefdom, using fake documents to scare people into submission, then hitting them with vandalism or worse. Older folks buckled, thinking she had real power. A final notice arrived, threatening to label our house a Tier 3 disruption zone. Clara pointed out the gold sticker on it, peeled from a cheap champagne bottle. We took our EVY Denke to a lawyer, who said we needed VY Deo of Susan admitting her scam. We tripled our locks and kept my real credentials close to me sheriff's badge. I've been sworn in as a temporary county sheriff, a quiet role I hadn't advertised. Susan had no clue. Then the black SUV returned. From men piled out, two blocking the driveway, two marching up. Susan followed, while VYing her fake rules like a Bible. She declared us under administrative detainment. I let them zip tie me, just enough for Emily's camera to catch it. They led me to the SUV as neighbors filmed, Carl grinning from his porch. Susan announced my arrest for breaking her rules. I stayed calm, letting her dig her hole. They drove me to a stripped model home labeled Willow Compliance Center. Inside, Susan tossed a folder on a table, listing my violations. I slid my sheriff's badge out, setting it down gently. Her jaw dropped. "What is this?" she stammered. "It's real, Susan," I said. "What's your excuse for playing cop?" Her goon stepped back, pale. Susan insisted it was fake. Then the door opened, and two real deputies me colleagues walked in. Susan tried to bolt, but Clara blocked her with that cane. Susan screamed it was a misunderstanding, then turned on Carl, who'd slunk in, filming shakily. He vanished. The deputies cuffed Susan as she ranted about others being in charge. Neighbors watched, some cheering, some hiding. Days later, smoke woke us. My garage was ablaze, the Camaro inside. Clara saw someone flee. The fire crew saved the house, but my car was ash. Footprints led to the road. An envelope arrived with a flash drive. "You missed this." It held audio of Susan plotting with unknown players in a real estate scam, fake HOAs, forced EVY tie-ins, cheap property grabs. Carl, guilt-ridden, handed over more recordings, apologizing. We gave everything to the DA. The feds got involved, uncovering a multi-county scheme. But it wasn't over. A cryptic email hit Emily's inbox. "You shut one cell." There are more. A photo showed us outside our new garage, taken from our hedge. Susan was locked up, but her allies weren't. We rebuilt the Camaro, my son handing me wrenches, calling it our Phoenix. Clara sold mugs online. HOA means Hands Off America. Emily's website exposed fake HOAs, drawing news crews. Neighbors admitted Susan blackmailed them with fake fines. Some spoke out, others hid. Susan's trial came. She glared, unrepentant, muttering, "We never die." She got years on multiple charges. But another note appeared. One leaf falls. The tree stands. Watch your back. Emily shredded it, but the fear lingered. We stayed, refusing to run. The sheriff's office patrolled our street. My son helped finish the Camaro. Its new hum firm, not loud. We won a battle, but the war loomed. Clara sipped tea on the porch, whispering, "Snakes don't vanish when you cut one head." A text buzzed late one night. Which side won? No answer, just a chill. We'd rebuilt more than a car weighed, rebuilt our fight. And we weren't backing down.